Hello, everyone. It's Veronica Bartolini with Codebreaker Real Talk. How's everyone doing? And I have Mario Condor Mijares on, um, known as Starseed Salsa, right? And this is my second interview with Mario. Mario, welcome back. I'm very excited for you. There's a lot of new things that happened since the last time we were talking. So what's up? How are you?
Doing good. Doing real good. Yeah, a lot has gone on since was it March or February when we last talked? Oh man,
It's February.
yeah, almost a whole year has gone by. Um, yeah, a lot has transpired um, from that last talk. And I go by the salsa shaman. Starseed salsa is what I sell. Um, and yeah, I've just been on this journey of trying to make sense of everything, trying to make sense of my life, my thoughts, my emotions, my experiences. Why do I feel this way? Why is this happening? um, what's going on, and in that process of wanting to know, wanting to understand, um, you know, sequences of events happen, synchronicities happen, confirmations come, dreams and visions happen that help me find my way um, to know what it is I'm asking. So I'm still on the journey of recovering memories and all of that. But where I've progressed a lot on my journey is firmly believing that, and not just believing, but knowing that I have been a part of this. I have been a part of these programs, that I have been taken, I've been off planet. But as far as like details, like what what ships I was on, what classifications I had, what were my names, how many altars, like that's still scattered, but at least I've done the work enough to come to this point of knowing that this is very real for me. Because what made it difficult before that was I was still in disbelief. I was still like, I don't know, this is a little too crazy. Maybe I'm just really fucked up because I'm traumatized. And I'm just like seeking a way out, or you have to ask yourself those questions, because yes, this is crazy shit. This is a crazy topic. These are crazy things that we're talking about. And we have been so conditioned and programmed into a limited matrix. And so, taking in this information shatters all of that. So, I think there's some, you know, logic and reasoning in the process of coming to that point of accepting it all.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Yes, we did talk about your past, the last video, and how you grew up and how tough it was to finally break through those programmings. And we also talked about how you rescue certain, um, you know, I don't know if you want to talk about that, but you do rescue also um, humans, right? Because we and animals and all that. But that's up to you if you want to talk about that, and then how that's been going, how the lives have been transformed. And then also, if you've noticed anything different, because you're also a psychic medium and you do readings and all that, and you're starting to do your astrological charts, and I'm very proud of you, because I said, come on, Mario, you got to do this, you got to start it, you got to do something. um, and what I noticed with the eclipse that happened was that these ships, more ships started coming through. And supposedly there's 22 alien races, but there's more than that. Okay. And then other people say that there's only one benevolent race that really is here to help us. And then other people say, oh, well, there's good and bad and everything. So, what's your take on that? But I did see the energy shifting change. Lately, though, I've had a lot of anxiety, and I know it has a lot to do with the energy weapons that they sent to me, because when I go to sleep, I go to the astral, or I go physically, and I go on missions. So I change timelines, and so what's your take on that? And how has your sleep been, eating habits, or anxiety, things like that with the eclipse, if you notice anything?
I'll start with responding to the saving the humans, or just rescuing, because I can't remember everything that we talked about in the last time, but I think I was mentioning about how I have a lot of dreams of doing rescue missions, and actually last month I received confirmation over over rescue missions um, that I was doing in May. So what happened, in May on my birthday, actually, I drove from Southern California all the way to the northern tip of Washington, around the Olympic National Forest, and there's a lot going on there, different layers. I'll start by saying that if you look on maps, on the Google Maps, you'll see on the peninsula of of Washington, there's a literal dragon. Like, part of the Olympic National Forest is shaped like a dragon, and the wing of the dragon is the entire forest. And not only that, but the Olympic National Park is a massive national forest. It's a huge park. And part of that forest is also a rainforest, and it's the only rainforest on the entire northern hemisphere of the planet. So there's a lot of unique things about that specific area. And then there's the channel from the Pacific Ocean coming into the peninsula, where ships come and dock and unload international merchandise in Seattle, off those piers, off those docks. And then I was staying in a small town called Port Ludlow, which is the belly of this dragon and is off the shores of this peninsula. And I was staying in a resort that had a marina and a golf course. So this whole area that I'm in, it's very rural, small town, small population, dense forests, and then there's the peninsula, the Pacific Ocean, and within eyesight you can see Canada, you can see British Columbia. So and then the peninsula where I was staying was close to the 101 freeway, and then Seattle's close to the I-5 freeway. So what I'm getting at is, I was in a perfect spot for, let's say, for human trafficking, for loading and unloading and moving people up and down these highways from Canada all the way to Mexico. So I'm driving over there to visit my soul brother, one of my best friends, and I hadn't seen him in like over a year, and it was my birthday. So he got me a couple nights in this nice hotel for my birthday after driving all this way to come visit him. And that night of my birthday, I eat one mushroom, just one mushroom. And it's kind of a long story, but I'll keep it short. So as the mushrooms kicking in, I went from feeling really good, from feeling positive before the mushroom, to then all of a sudden like not feeling good, like in anxiety, in fear. I'm nervous. I'm like, whoa, what's going on? I'm not having a good time. What is this? And I've done so much work and I know myself. So for this sudden swing of energy to just be negative, it was like I know that it wasn't coming from me. So I was just like kept on asking as I'm, pacing around in this hotel room, like, what is this? What's going on? Why am I feeling this? Where is it coming from? Blah, 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 blah. And then my hands moved to the window. And then I look out the window and then it all clicked. It all clicked. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm on a marina right there. This is the peninsula to the Pacific Ocean for international waters. The 101 is right here. Seattle's right there, which is a fucked up place. And the I-5, and then here's a resort with a marina, and there's a fancy ass golf course over there that not a lot of people know about unless you know about it. Um, and then it just all hit me, and then I recalled from the day before driving up there. I stop at this random turnoff point on the 101 in Washington. I just pulled off there, and I realized that this guy who approached me when I was on this pier, on this dock, was actually an agent, and he was an agent making himself known to me, having a small conversation. And there was something odd about the whole thing. The first thing was, as he approached me, my body let out a big fart. I didn't know I needed a fart. So this guy is walking up to me. We make eye contact, and my body just, and I was like, whoa, I didn't know that was gonna happen. And then we have a small conversation, and then he talks about his daughter. He didn't talk about his daughter. He mentioned he had a daughter. And then when we walk away, there was something odd about the energy exchange through our eyes. I was like,
Was he trying to sell you his daughter or hook
no,
you up with her? No?
no. He just mentioned that he had a daughter.
Why? But
I'm,
like what made you realize, right, that he was an agent? Like how did the like conversation go? I know you're saying it.
well, he threw some things back into the water, some fish guts, and then in there was an aluminum can, and then the aluminum can fell in the water, and he was like, "Oops, I'll have my daughter jump in there tomorrow to pick it up, the can." And so, but at the time, I'm just like, oh, random guy talking. He's out here, very random location out here. But it was in the hotel room when it clicked, and I realized who he was and who his daughter isn't. It's not his daughter. I was like, oh, you're a handler. You're a gatekeeper. And I was also followed in Washington along the 101 by cops, by sheriff cars. So every time I was pulled over somewhere, there was a sheriff car not far from me. So it all made sense. Like, oh goddamn. And I'm in this hotel, and I acknowledged all the things, and I was like, whoa. I'm in a place. I'm somewhere. So I realized, sorry. So a few things that I realized immediately was, I'm being watched, I'm being monitored, I'm being followed, and I'm being actively talked about right now. So I just knew that, and I was like, I knew that. And the moment I also had that, then my eyes moved from out the window, looking all the way out across the lot. This older couple, and I was like, oh, I recognize them, and they were staring at me funny in the lobby hours ago. they're watching me. They're not good people. Even though they look like just your typical old retired, white married couple, they're sick. Um, so I'm like realizing all this in the hotel, and I'm like, and they're walking because they out there, because from there you can see directly into my window, and they're watching. And then one of these boats on the marina is also, there's another watchman that lives on this boat, on these boats. So it's just like all clicking, and then whoosh, this wave hit me. This wave hit me, and the wave was them allowing me to see where I was. So it's not that I penetrated and was like, ha, I know what's going on. It was like, oh, so you can see? Well, let us show you more, because they wanted to scare me. They wanted to scare me and drive me out. So all of a sudden, I just had all these feelings wash over me of what's being done on that land, what's being done to children, what the fuck is happening. And I was really close to a panic attack. I was really close to like full on panicking. So I turn off all the lights, I close the blinds. I got one candle on, and I'm in this fancy hotel with a big jacuzzi tub. So I start running the water, and pouring all these oils and bath salts in the water, and was just trying to stay calm, because this was the first time that I was experiencing it on this level. And I'm in the water. I was in that bathtub, like laying sideways in the fetal position for 4 hours, um, because I was meditating, and I was going back into the womb, um, into that womb experience. And as I'm lying in this water, I'm being heavily psychic attacks, like this major psychic battle. And I can acknowledge that I'm going toe to toe with more than one, like evil wizard, or whatever we want to call them, just a bad magician, dark magician. And I can tell them, and I could tell that that was happening, and that they were actively together, in ceremony, to enter that psychic space to attack me. Um, and but the battle was not like me fighting them, because the battle was being in this psychic realm of having to fight all the programs within me. So it was me kind of, I don't want to say fighting myself, but it was me, having to move through all the aspects of myself that are false, the programs that they put in me to come up to sabotage myself. Um, and and in order to go through all those different layers, I had to see myself and all my unconscious behaviors, and make peace with it, forgiving myself. And as they're throwing all these different things at me, I'm just going through it, because I've done enough work to realize what's going on and what it takes to overcome it. So as I'm just constantly moving through all these different layers, I'm seeing in the psychic space all these symbols, these Masonic sigils, and these seals come out of my auric field. They had so many all over me, from from this close to far away. All these different, spells that they have had on me for a really long time, probably like my whole life. And so
It's true.
I'm breaking away from all those spells, from all that black magic, that programming. And then I came to a point where, where I freed the angelic part of my soul that they took out from when I was a child. So I then was able to realize that when they were creating altars from out of me, and they were doing that kind of abuse on me, and one of the things that they took away, one of the soul aspects that they took out of me was my angelic soul aspect, because I am an angelic being. Um, and they put it in a pocket dimension, another dimension they created, and they trapped that part of myself in a box that was also in seals. And so this angel, I freed it, and it flew straight into me, and then I experienced a transformation, not an actual physical transformation, but an energetic transformation where I could literally see and feel the feathers and the wings that I had. I had wings on my eyes, wings on my hips, feathers on my arms and on my hands, and I could feel them move and flutter. And when I looked in the mirror, that it was when that happened, when I finally stood up from the bathtub. But I still couldn't get out, but I was able to stand up. And then that's when I could see in the mirror how I looked like. And this angelic aspect of myself was helping me, and it was helping me to calm down, and to realize my power, and that I'm stronger than them and all of this. And it was helping me with body movements. So it was like, I don't know if you've ever seen the show, the show OA on Netflix. Um, but they're actually very on point
I,
with.
yeah, sorry. Yeah, my cousin told me about that last week, and I could only watch like 10 minutes of it because it was so freaking triggering. I still have to finish it. But yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Thank
It's
you.
very triggering. But when you do watch the show, you'll see the movements and the sounds that they do. It's actually very on point, because us advanced beings here, well, all of us, this body is a Stargate portal. And one of the ways we can activate and utilize the technology is by movements and sound. And so this angel that it reintegrated back into me was doing that. And I was making these sounds and these hums, and it was calming me down and bringing me back to center. And then that's when I went laid back down in the water, and then I rode the wave with all of this, and went to the children. I just sent a lot of energy to the children, and visualize my angelic presence being with them wherever they were, and just helping them. Not I couldn't get the sense that I was able to rescue them, but what I was able to do as an angel was to bring my presence there, and energetically help them, energetically soothe them, take away any pains they had, fill their bellies with energy if they were starving, give them that kind of comfort, because there wasn't anything I could physically have done. So that happened on my birthday in May this year. And one of the confirmations but before I go into that, so that was a long, crazy night. There's so many details that go into that. But so the next day, I tell my friend, "Hey, bro, meet me by the waterfall. I had a crazy night. I need to tell you about, what happened." So the next day we meet, we chat. And before we part ways, he goes, "Oh, hey, by the way, were you going around my neighborhood asking, knocking on people's doors, asking if you can come into their home and give them a blessing?" And I'm like, "What the hell? Like, I would never do some shit like that. Like, you know me, I'm not fucking, delusional out here. Why do you ask?" His fiance was on this social app called, I think it's called Next Door, where like it plugs you in with your community of neighbors in your zip code. And his fiance was going through that app just to see what news was happening in the local neighborhood. And what his fiance saw that someone posted in public safety, um, saying that this man, and they identified me. So let me pull it up real quick. So they identified me. They were saying this man in a ponytail driving a maroon van, um, knocked on their door 8:30 at night, saying that saying that they were saying that I knocked on their door, telling them that I live in the neighborhood, and if I could come into their home and give them a blessing. And which is all lies, all lies. And so then people are commenting on it too, like, "Oh, I saw him the other day over here." And then I realized, oh, like that's the motherfucker that was watching me when I was in the parking lot the other day. And so I realized that these people were watching me and all this. And one of the interesting things that they put in my descriptions in parentheses when they were identifying me was that they put osprey, which is a hawk, the osprey hawk. So for me, that's telling me that they knew what kind of an individual I was. Bird, which bird people, what can they do? They can fly above and they can see the whole thing.
I was gonna tell you, you do remind me of a how do you say, in between a hawk and a owl.
Yeah, definitely owl. So what all that tells me is, one, it confirms what I was feeling the night before when I was, like first telling you like what's going on, what is this? Oh, I'm being watched and I'm being talked about. So I was 100% right about that. And then somebody was also saying in that comment thread that I was even trying to talk to other people's children. So all of that to me is just, it's just saying code. This guy's an osprey. He knows about the children. We need to get him out of our town. So my friend, he sends me the screenshots of that, and I just felt really, really sick to my stomach. I was like, I'm really somewhere where I'm not supposed to be, because when COVID happened, and well, actually even before then, like, but really like when COVID and the lockdowns happened and all that stuff, it was code red for these motherfuckers. It was, oh my gosh, people are finding out, they're cracking down. We need to dismantle operations that we can and move everything to the hideout places. I found one of the hideout places out there in Olympia National Forest. So that's what happened. Then last month, I was hanging out with James Ring and Anthony Zender and a couple of other folks. And Zender was telling me about a dream that he had, or maybe it was a regression, I don't remember, but this was back in spring. I don't remember if it was April or May, but it was very close around my birthday when I had that whole story I just explained. So he's telling me about this dream where he's on mission with a platoon of other super soldiers to go into the underground bunkers of the Olympic National Forest to rescue children. So, and that was last month. So all this, so Zender telling me that also confirms even more that my experiences and what I was moving through is likely very true. So that's my response about the rescuing. And so much, has happened past that also, like just driving throughout the country, on these road trips. Like I know when I'm passing through some dark shit, and when I'm in the psychic field of a gatekeeper, a dark gatekeeper, like a dark magician or something like that. um oh man, yeah. And also, since February from our last talk, um I've been able to participate in a couple of different sacred ceremonies, taking sacred medicines like peyote, bufo, kambo, and changa. These medicines have made their way to me. I haven't go and seek them out. Hi, Susan.
Susan, can you tell us more? Because for example, I know certain, the things you mentioned, but for the public that doesn't know, like especially Changa, it sounds like Chango. Like, are you calling upon spirits to help you? Ancestors? Are you, are you calling the four elements, the tall whites? What, like, what, just something for the public to know, please.
Yeah. Well, changa is an herbal blend. I don't know how to make it, but it's made with a couple of different uh, um, plants, and you smoke it, and it's DMT. So you have a DMT experience, and then bufo is also DMT, but that comes from a toad in the Sonoran Desert of Mexico. um, and this toad, most of its life lives underground and only comes up for a short period of time. And when it comes up, that's when the shamans, they grab these toads and they secrete the venom from its glands, and then they dry it under the sun, and it turns into this resin, and you smoke it. And it's the strongest DMT that you could smoke on the planet, that you could experience on Earth. It's a very, very powerful medicine, and it moves a lot of energy when you take it. And I have been able to be a part of four Bufo ceremonies this year, since after our talk. And two of them were back to back in April with this shaman. And going into it, I was calling in my guides, my team, no specific race of beings or anything, just like my ancestors and my supporting light team. But the intention that I was putting into it was, all right, guys, I just want to know if this shit is real for me, like, or am I just trying to attach to a story? Like, was I or was I not in these programs? You don't have to tell me the whole story. I just want to know yes or no.
I told you you were, but I said I can't, you have to experience for yourself. You have to, I get excited because it's like I wanted to just shake you and say, yes, stop doubting yourself. But it's like I can't, it would violate your how do you say, your kind of like, you can't rush something you're baking, like a cake or whatever, it's gonna se va a inundir, it's gonna just like go flat in the middle there. It's then you gotta like, okay, do we start over? Do we put it back in, etc. So yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I had a hard time believing in it. I had a hard time because, like, again, this is crazy. Like, this is crazy. Like, we're talking, like, the shit we're talking about. Like, if we go sit in Starbucks and talk about this shit, everyone's gonna think we're insane, you know.
And then your Celtic friend will come up and yell, "Whipa mi gente!"
Yeah.
I see my family,
Hell yeah. Yeah. And so
Yeah.
I did the Bufos, and it was yeah, I just wanted to know. And after my experiences with that, um, I, was camping one night and was experiencing uh, um, some memories come in, just like flashes, mostly revolving around um, being put on the trip chair, um, and what that was like for me, and being sat on this chair, and being MK Ultra on the chair. And then that's when my subconscious um, counsel, or my team, my higher self, had told me, like maybe a couple weeks after this Bufo experience, my team had told me to go to YouTube and pull up, and specifically pull up that scene from the movie Space Jam, where Michael Jordan meets Bugs Bunny. Because what was happening was I was getting all these flashes of of um, of going through the age regression, the age regression at the end of my 20 and back, um, and being MK Ultra after my time serving, and then what that energetic experience was like sitting on that fucking chair. It is very, very intense. All kinds of gates are open, um, being sat down and hooked up and programmed. And um, and uh, I was kind of seeing how my oversoul um, was with me during that time. Like my oversoul was going into the technology that they were using to program me, and creating, basically making it happen, that no matter what types of programming or experiences that this human body is going to go through, I'm going to find my way out one way or another. I'm going to wake up one way or another. So yeah, so then yeah, I went to YouTube and I pulled up that whole Space Jam video, and then it was like a domino. A lot of things. I was like rewatching that, was like, holy shit, like this is it right there. Like this is everything. Yeah, I don't know. It was crazy. It's been crazy.
What I call that, I call it God Wars. Okay. It's weird because I've had so many memories of melanin dominant, and I did contact Barry Littleton when, like in 2017, when I had my awakening, because I was like, hey, Barry, I don't know you. I just found out I'm a SS, super soldier. And I have these men, these young men coming to me in like a red and white, they're wearing basketball uniforms, and they have the beautiful, curly hair. They're so freaking tall, like 12 feet. And I'm in the middle wearing a black suit with a whistle. Then I'm called to a manager's office. And so apparently I was managing these guys. And then I had another vision and memory where they used me for my abilities to help Michael Jordan. So what they do is these God Wars, right? They hook you up to actors, right? They hook you up to like MTV. We grew up in, Susan and I know you're a little bit younger than us, but we grew up with MTV, right? They hook you up with like a basketball player, like, baseball player, actors, actresses, they have what they call handlers. So for example, mine were Johnny Depp, Morgan Freeman. I trained Channing Tatum. It's to think that this stuff is real. Like you gotta, like I pinch myself sometimes at night. I'm like, what's going on? I mean, am I just like nuts? But it's this is what we're talking about now. It's disclosure and things like that. So I call it the God Wars because you're being pulled in different directions. Like, you gotta have so much sex with somebody, you know, you gotta have like all these guys, you gotta dress a certain way, you know, the little black book, like statuses of what they want us to be in this world. Like, you have to have a PhD, or you have to write a book, or you're nothing, you know, and it's just, I went off on a tangent, but go ahead.
Oh, well, you're talking about the God Wars?
Yeah, I named it God Wars, and when I saw your video on you know, on Space Jam, I had just seen that movie, the second one, and it's like the teleportation. You know, you got Nike God. We have the Under Armour God. We have Fila, right? Certain, like, for example, I can't wear Puma for some reason. Like, it's kind of weird. How they try and sell us on what brand, what religion, Buddha, you know, Jesus, the one that they have here, not the real one. I love the real one. But you know, you got to act a certain way, be a certain way. You got to meditate every day for like 20 hours. You know what I mean? There's a fine line between love and light, and between being a warrior. Like, yes, I really, really do appreciate those that are meditating, because maybe that's what their contract is, and that's how they're helping Mother Earth. I'm not downing that, but I'm just saying, like, the belief systems that you'll die for here. Like, you got to ask yourself, we all have to ask ourselves, what is our mission? And remember our oath. So, God Wars, are you going to choose the AI gods that are here? You know, like the AI systems right now, you know, for example, the black goo, that one came in Thula, I believe, and then the Gulf War, there's something going on there. There's just so much stuff we can talk about. But what I'm trying to say is, you know, who are you in the dark should be the same person that you are in the light. And are you choosing, what God are you choosing, and why? Or are you choosing yourself, you know, your higher self? And I know there is one true God, which I call consciousness. I call it the crystal heart, where we come from. We are from the angelic realm. We are the dragons that fought in the war here. And those, you know, the dragon that you were talking about, though, I'm kind of like, because, you know, you said, oh, it was the belly of the dragon. Well, what happens in the belly? Digestion, eating, children, you know, what's going on with that? So yeah, the God Wars. Do you have anything, Susan? And then Mario.
Oh, I was getting distracted by my phone, but I had some other questions not related to the God Wars, if you want to just shift that one too.
Yeah, let's hear the questions.
Well, I know this was kind of off topic, but when you were talking about the buff, is that how you pronounce it? Is that like mushrooms or peyote? What kind of end result are you looking for with that?
Yeah, so it's called Bufo, and it's spelled BUFO. And the chemical compound is 5-MeAO, which is the type of DMT chemical compound that it is, like molecular structure. Honestly, I think, Bufo is like the ultimate red pill experience, because you die and you come back. And it's like in the ceremonies, when you come back, like, it's common to say, you know, happy birthday, like you're reborn. Because when you take Bufo, and also I think everybody that is ready and willing to know more about their experiences in these programs should take Bufo, because it is a very powerful medicine that moves a lot of energy.
I have a question though. Should people that don't have all their memories, like that are barely like waking up to this, should they experience it, or should they work on themselves first, clearing out their mirrors or whatever, asking, you know, maybe writing down some questions before they go in? Or what do you suggest, Mario?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, you know, and I think people have their own internal compass, you know, like most people that I've encountered, they are honest with themselves when they know they're not ready for a certain experience. So, you know, just trust your own gut feeling. You know, again, like I never went out looking for these medicines. They just, you know, came in front of me and I had the opportunity to be a part of it. So that was very, you know, synchronistic for and perfect timing for me to do it. I've learned about these medicines years ago. And I told myself, when and if it's time for me to experience these kinds of medicines, it'll happen on its own, effortlessly. And that's how it's been for me this year. Um, and yeah, when you're and for Bufo, the experience is only 15 to 20 minutes long, and your entire ego dissolves. You're not here. When you take the medicine, you don't see the physical reality in front of you. You don't hear the physical reality around you. You're completely dissolved and formless, back to oneness with everything. And so much, like, you're stretched, you're psychically stretched, you're hearing all these galactic tones, these frequencies. You might see the other beings, you know, like fucking massive beings. um so it's a beautiful medicine. And you know, every time I do it, one of the things that I experience on it is, I come back home. I come back home to my family, to my tribe. And there's tons of beings there. And when I'm on that frequency where I'm there, you experience your family, and you experience the deep healing from your family, and they're thanking you. They're thanking you because we are warriors, and we are warriors of the heart. And we chose to come to be here on this planet, to incarnate on this planet and experience this you know, this fucked up chaos, that this machine that's designed to tear apart our hearts. And that's what makes us warriors, because no matter what we go through, what we experience, we don't let that ruin our heart. And that means having to endure the pain, having to endure the experience. And so you receive a healing and an acknowledgement from your galactic family, reminding you, you know, you're a warrior, you're fucking badass for being on planet Earth right now. Here's a healing. We're going to give you just what you need for right now. Go back, remember this, you know. And you can always tap back into this frequency. So it's a very beautiful medicine.
Does it heal your neural synapses like mushrooms do? Like,
Oh, that I don't know.
oh, okay.
That's neat that you said that you tap into frequencies, Mario, because I've had times where I don't have my meditation music because I have to have my fan on. I don't care if it's cold or hot. I have to have that fan, the white noise. And then, you know, sometimes I'll play there's the music that I've been playing for 3 years on and off, 432 hertz, and it's the ocean, and it's, you know, and that just helps me, you know, and, you know, there's been a few times that I haven't had it on, and I wake up, and I was telling Frank and Susan about a couple months ago, and then I said, you know, I hear these tones, these angelic tones, and I've even had visions and memories where I'm a little boy playing in a band with weird music instruments, and and I'm by the ocean, and the ocean is like white sands, kind of like Cancun, you know. And then there's this wave that comes up, and I wasn't doing drugs or nothing like that, you know what I mean? It's like, or medicine, and I come up, and the wave just comes up, and it's like this white silver wave. To me, that's, you know, God consciousness, or, you know, or me, maybe my higher self, but that's like the true, what I call crystal heart, you know. And it's like, it's just funny because Frank's like, you hear that too, you know. And we are the fallen angels that the Bible talks about, but the Bible, it's been written by men. You know, we are those loving angels that, you know, because everything is upside down here. And I don't want to like go off on a tangent, but there's a video that I'm going to send you guys. I don't know if you've seen it, where, you know, it's like a ugly being that has these wings, and it's up on a Vatican. It's up on the Vatican. And it's like, what happens is when we're children, they trick us. Even now, people are being tricked that, oh, there's an angel. No, it's a freaking demon, dude, like a bad one, you know? And when you were talking about earlier, Mario, about being over there in Washington, it's like everything is connected. The ley lines, there's a reason why we jive, why we are in harmony with where we live with our grid line, because we hold that frequency. We are music. I've told my daughter since we were, you know, we were talking about this a while back, and I said, Mama, I think we're music. We're music. We're math. You know, we're quantum physics. We are air, water. You know, all the elements. But we're music. I think we're made out of music. I kept telling her, because, you know, that's just the highest frequency to me. You know, that I see it. But going back real quick, because I don't want to lose that either, Mario. You had mentioned Changa, Bufo, and what was the third one?
Peyote
Okay.
and combo.
What's combo?
Combo is also, well, combo comes from a frog, or bufo comes from a toad, and comes from a jungle frog in the Amazons. And it's also poisonous venom. And that's it's non-psychoactive, so you don't have any kind of hallucinogens or any kind of trips or anything like that. It's a warrior medicine to purge the body, to purge the soul. And the way it's done is you get these burns on your skin. They open up these gates, these burns, and then they put the medicine on the burns, so your blood vessels absorb the venom, and it gets into the bloodstream, it gets into the lymphatic system, and it has a very strong the body has a very strong reaction where it pulls out all the toxins in your organs, in your lymphatic system, in your glands, in your endocrine system, and it purges it out. You vomit a lot. You may even poop. I have coming out both ends when I do it. So you're purging physically toxins, emotional toxins, spiritual, mental toxins. It's a good cleanse. It's a good detox.
Yeah, it's parasites, because I'm going to have
Yeah.
Lexi Eisenhower and Dr. Maria Salas on the 18th. We're going to talk about these parasites. You know, the black goo, I've always told people, it's in soda, the black ones, the Coke, the Pepsi, it's in the mascara, it's in the coffee, it's, you know, the black goo, our phones, again, you know, everything's the sentient being. So it's up to you how you program it and stuff. So it's purging right now. Like I said, in 2022, it's the time for what I saw, it's the time for no regrets, and cleaning out the mirrors, you know, meaning cleaning out those parasites. I always say starve the parasites, right? And it could be, you know, the little worms that, you know, could be in the stomach saying, I want sugar, feed me, I want soda. You know, it could be that. It could be the little brain worms too. Like, oh, I got to watch porn. You know, no, you don't. You know, it's cleansing. So yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh yeah, you're right. It is a cleansing. You know, all in all, it's been a very powerful year of cleansing, of healing, and just being activated. You know, activating on a whole new level. You know, tomorrow I have my first quantum healing hypnotherapy session, and I'm really looking forward to that, because I want to know more. I want to know more specifics about my experiences and what sort of things I've done. Yeah, yeah. Oh, I wanted to bring up, because since we were going to do this talk today, last night I decided to watch the new Space Jam movie. I hadn't seen it until last night, and wow, wow.
Let's talk about that.
So I saw the new Space Jam last night, and a lot of key takeaways from that one. In the new one, they're not fighting aliens like in the first one. In the first one, aliens came down and wanted to enslave the Looney Tune characters, but in this one, it was all AI, artificial intelligence, transhumanism agenda, where the characters got absorbed into the computer and were digitized. And an overlaying theme in the movie too was causing separation and polarity between parent and children, where the AI is the one that's like trying to comfort the child, and planting thoughts in their head to disown their parent, kind of a thing. And there's a lot. So in the movie, they make hybrid characters where they're infusing them with an animal. So there's one basketball player that is half snake. There's another basketball player that is half spider. And then another one that is an elemental that's just all water. And then another character is a giant blue bird, which is like clear for blue avian. And so I know I'm saying a lot. I'm just like pulling all this from my head right now. So LeBron James is having to play a basketball game to free him and his son out of the computer, out of the virtual reality. God, man, you got to watch the movie. Everyone that's watching this should watch the movie, so you can see. You'll just see it when you're watching it. But there's some questions I wanted to ask you that were really related towards my experience, and it's with the fucking number 10, specifically 1010, where there's a part in the movie where God, what was happening? I forgot exactly what was happening, but there was a conversation that was going on, and one guy said 10, and then the other guy shouted again 10. And I was remembering something when I went to Dimensions of Disclosure back in 2019, when Corey Good was speaking. I remember very clearly there were people in line to walk up to the mic to ask Corey Good a question. And I'm sitting down just like in meditation, holding space. One guy, he asked this question, but one guy, he gets up to the mic and the first thing that he says is, the time is 10:10. So, and then in the movie, someone says 10:10. And that same night, at the end of Corey's Good conversation, I'm having a talk with a couple other attendees at the event. One of them being an actor who told me that he played a part in the new Space Jam movie. And he was like, I'm under NDA, so I can't tell you everything, but I can say that there's a blue avian and something else. So I'm just like, I don't know what to make of all this, but there's something, there's a connection going on with all of that, and the whole Space Jam thing. Because again, here I am, the Space Jam movie is coming up before I'm even thinking about the video that I made. And the reason why 1010 is so significant for me is because I had a stroke on October 10th, which is 1010. So, and that was back in 2016.
I know you told me. I can tell you 1010 is your traveler number.
Oh,
That's your traveler number. I'm looking for my travelers because I'm traveler Andromedan 1800. Hi, Jesse, welcome. So yeah, that's your with Corey Good, you got to be careful because he's attached to AI and he's trying to bring in the blue ET avians, which is bullshit. Okay. I'm not saying they don't exist, but he's using them for other reasons. He's also tied up with Elon Musk, shit that's going down in CERN and in Texas. They're opening up some portals there. Don't get me riled up.
and in South Dakota.
Yes.
South Dakota, they're working on dark matter.
Yes, yes. And then in South Dakota, yeah, dark matter, the black goo. And then also if you've ever seen the Stepford Wives movie, you know, go look at that because they're trying to reprogram the female entity to do to become enslaved. And you know, this whole thing about them serving man and they have to look a certain way like a Barbie and be robotic and say, yes, sir, how many more cookies you want me to bake? You know what I mean? That has to do with AI, that has to do with Neuralink, that has to do with what's going on right now with the God wars and the wars up in space and here and underground, saving the children and all that. But going back to 1010, what happened also is that when the guy told Corey Good, the time is now 1010, my brother Mario, he was letting him know that you were there. Okay, and you have something to do with the blue avians because like I said, when I see you half hawk and half owl. You are a fierce avian being, pretty much. You know, you're a dragon too, but you wear the mask because Susan, I was telling Susan that I had a memory 2 days ago. We were in a white like Cessna airplane. It was a private airplane and it was Frank, Susan, myself, and another male and my mom, because they always like to put my mom in my screen memories. Okay. And I was showing her. Okay. Yeah, they do that. Or when they want to piss me off for a distraction, they put my ex-husband. I'm like, no, thanks. But anyway, so I was telling Susan, I go, look, that's your mask, babe, you know, because it was a beautiful, like a triangle like this. It was gold. And then here it had red. Okay. And I said, that's your Phoenix mask, because we are all dragons and we wear masks. Okay. Like the lion, when we're in war, babies, we wear our masks. You know what I mean? I just get really excited. Then I was showing her I had 7 in a little box and she had 1 in this one. Hers was really, really shiny. And and then Frank and Susan, they were like, it was kind of weird because they were like on this rail thing. And then later on, Susan and I were talking today and it has to do with the Stargate program. So going back to you, Mario, that is your number.
Okay, the math, thank you for that. Thank you for that. And the mask thing makes a lot of sense too, because I had a regression done by somebody, and at the end she was seeing an aspect of my soul with her. It was a remote session, so it was over the phone, and she said that that I was there as like an ancient Shinto warrior wearing those warrior masks. And so it was from the Akash, and that warrior was telling her to tell me to never take the mask off because it's what's keeping me alive.
Mario, I just got something. You're part of the Blue Kachina program.
Okay, so someone else told me last month that I was a Kachina, and I don't know what the Kachina is, but this was an indigenous storyteller man, Clifford Mahudi, and I was sharing with him some of the things that I'd gone through, like hit by cars 3 times, a fucking stroke, and 2 brain tumors. And then that's when he's like, oh, you're a Kanich, how do you say it? Kanichi?
It's Kachina.
Kachina. He said, oh, you're a Kachina. And then he went into this metaphorical elaboration of what the star people have been doing to me to prepare me. And that was about as deep as we got into it. So could you tell me about this Kachina energy? It's funny. I have a hard time saying it because I want to say cochina.
That's another subject for another show. No, Mario. So I heard only once. I've heard about the Kachina, sorry, and it has something to do with the sun, the sun, because we come from the sun portal, all of us that are dragons here fighting the good fight. The part of the 144,000, right? And so it has to do, I'm channeling right now. So what I hear my higher self and what I see is when the ascension happens, because it's happening slowly, right? Slowly. But when the war comes, when we have, because we have to fight as super soldiers, and because we're more than super soldier, guys. Okay, we're more than that. There's, I have a friend who I know, she's the oracle of the rainbow goddess. Okay, we're all here for a purpose. We all, like I said, we are part of that crystal heart. We're part of the blue bloods, the real royal blue bloods that are here. And so something's going to happen with the sun. I know there's different theories, oh, it's going to be so cold that only those that are pure blood will survive, and that's why they're putting these people with the baby Jabberwocky, what I call, because they only want the ones that are going to live for when the sun goes cold. Okay. And also, it has to do something with I see with the sparks. What is that? When the sun gives out sparks, the flame. Yeah, and it has to do with the solar flame. So I see you as part of, not per se Ra, God of the sun, but you have something to do with that creation. And that's why you've been attacked too. The Kachina is like this doll. They sell them. Some of them though they use them to put bad spells on people, like Santa Muerte and stuff like that. But you're a shaman too, and that's another part, that you're a shaman, you're a healer. To me, remember I told you, start your salsa business, which you did, and I'm very proud of you. But now I'm telling you, Mario, do things like Susan is doing. She's doing her RSO. She's, you are a medicine man. I see you making herbs for people that are getting the Jabberwocky, whatever, and you're gonna help them to fucking clear those, excuse my language, clear those parasites out of their body, their intestines and all that, and but anyway, what I can do also is just call you, when I have more information, or whenever I have time, Mario, that way, but if anything comes up during you talking about these movies that are the truth, right? I'll wave and I'll say, hey, I got something, whatever.
Okay. So back to Space Jam, I guess, huh? So in the first movie, the Space Jam, that movie came out in 1996. I saw it in theaters. With my grandfather, and I remember when it was over, I was like high. I was like weird, kind of foggy brain high. And then I remember when we were leaving the theater, there was a cardboard cutout for another movie. I never saw this movie, but this other movie came out the same time Space Jam did. I haven't seen it. It's a movie with John Travolta where he realizes he's like an angel or something, and he has a brain tumor, and he dies. So that movie came out the same time. Huh?
Powder. I think that's the movie Powder.
No, it's something else.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
No, was the one where he was supposed to be connected to Archangel Michael, wasn't it? I forget
yeah,
what that
yeah.
was called.
It's
You're
that
right.
one.
You're right.
It's that one. So I still haven't seen it, but those two movies came out the same day. And I remember leaving the theater with my grandfather. The energy of that cardboard, like what that movie was about, like I felt that there was a strong connection, that there was a lot happening with that movie, and that there was something, even as a child, like I can't make sense of why I'm feeling this way, but I can recall that even back then I knew that there was something connected with all this. And a couple months ago, I shared about my story, and this man came up to me and asked me if I'd ever seen that movie. And I told him, no, I haven't, but I remember when it came out. It came out the same time Space Jam did. And he tells me about, he says, well, because your story is very similar to John Travolta's story in that movie, where he gets this tumor, right? So it's got me a little like kind of fucked up in a way, because I'm like, all right, this all has to be programming. This all has to be manifestation through programming in some way. So I'm realizing how well they work with these movies, with the trip chair experience. So I realized that, especially for us that have been in these programs and phenomenon, yeah, that's what it's called, and programmed. A lot of these movies reinforce, and update our previous, our original MK Ultra programming. So, like for example, have you guys seen the movie The Never Ending Story?
Yes, I love that movie. I would watch it over and over as a kid, over and over.
Same, over and over as a kid. So I recently rewatched that movie as an adult in August, and fucking A, this movie fucked me up, because, and maybe you can help me with where it's got me all fucked up. So this year, in late June and July, well, first off, let me tell you the movie, right? Atreyu, the native boy, right? He's an indigenous boy from the Lakotas, of the purple buffalo people, right?
I think, do you remember when we did the reading, the first time we did the reading, I told you you are part of the Lakota tribe. Go ahead.
Okay. So this indigenous boy, he's from the Lakotas, and he's like a protector of the purple buffalo, or all whatever, which is related to white calf buffalo woman, and the that sacred Lakota land and everything. And he has to go on mission to help save their reality. And he has to go on this mission alone, with no weapon, and nothing to remind him of himself, only this necklace. And he had to go to save the queen, or the little girl, right? So where this movie got me all fucked up was because I watched it right when I came back from South Dakota. I went to South Dakota because I had at the time thought I met the woman that I was going to be marrying and spending my life with, who is a Lakota woman. All fucked up. I was all fucked. So I go over there and I have this intense bonding experience with this woman, and it fucking blew up in my face and fucking tore my heart. But I understand the soul agreements that for that to happen, in order to keep waking me up. And it was perfect how I went to go visit a friend, and then that friend was like, oh, I'm about to watch The Never Ending Story, you want to watch it with me? And then here I am watching this movie. So it got me all fucked up because I'm like, it's got me asking like, okay, I've seen this movie a lot when I was a kid. Could this movie subconsciously programmed me to have this experience later in life where I'm traveling alone to the Lakota lands to go meet with a woman who is energetically connected to white calf buffalo women during COVID, during the fall of the cabal. So it was like, it had me all, it's weird. So do you get where I'm coming from?
Okay, so I had a talk with Iris back when I met her, when I did the conference thingy in March. And she has everything written down. So we were talking about Buffalo. Buffalo, New York is one of the places where they have the kids underground. And us, unfortunately, when they used us in the Super Soldier program, they used us to take kids to that base. They installed the Omega programming, the chips and all that, the kill switches, so that way we could forget and kill ourselves or off ourselves, right? Or go crazy or end up in a psych ward and never come out, right? So what happens is we woke up and now we're saving the children under the domes and off planet, wherever they have them, children and animals, okay? And we're stopping the sex traffic. Now, what happened with the necklace is, I'm going to tell you something. You need to wear a talisman. You need to wear one of these. Either I wear the Shungite. This is from Russia, and this is from Russia. So they have Russia or the Indian one from India. But anyway, you gotta choose your talisman for protection. All of us here, okay, that's just me. Pick something. It could be a crystal, it could be a cross, it could be a feather, okay, it could be a buffalo for you, and then you bless, you sanctify it with your own holy water, with your Himalayan pink salt, put it out there in the sun 3 nights and 3 days. That's how I do things. So you need to, first of all, you need to wear a talisman. The little girls symbolize the children. The Queen of England is, who? She's the bad one that took us to those mansions and did all the stuff that, right? SRA and all that crap. So with the you seeing this lady and stuff like that, where cabal was going down, that's exactly what it is. It's a reminder that we took our life back and we took our power back. That's what I get. I hope it helps.
Yeah, I mean, it helps. It's I don't have any more energetic connection to that whole experience. I acknowledged it, learned from it, was activated and all that, but it's just going back to the programming and movies and the experiences we create in our reality, and really questioning like how many of the experiences I've had in life were preset because of a programming, and how many are authentic. And then that's where I was getting at with when I was having a recall, being on the trip chair, about my oversoul getting activated and going into the technology that was programming me, and making sure that no matter what I was experiencing, I was going to find my way out. And that's an example of what I mean by that, because something like that was created to destroy my heart, but it didn't. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, because the whole thing, like I always talk about my brother, our other brother, Max Spears, they're after our hearts. They want to kill our hearts and us and our children and the children. So they'll always make these movies to go for the heart, and yes, that experience that you had with that lady, well, that was meant for your heart to break and for you to give up. That was another of the part of their agenda. you know, and so anyway, I think we could talk another 20 minutes or so. That way you can
Yeah, another 20 minutes is great.
talk about the trans, because I always talk about transcendence and Johnny Depp, how, you know, the whole thing of him being in the computer. Go ahead, just.
Oh no, I was just back. I had to take the trash out. Sorry.
I haven't seen that movie, Transcendence.
Yeah, that has to do with what they want to do, you know, hook people up to the AI system. That's
Okay.
But as I wanted you to talk about what you talked about in your video. It's very interesting, about how they, you know, going down the rabbit hole and how he exited out, and there was a golf course and all that. Remember you were talking a little bit about that?
Yeah, so yeah, that whole scene, you know, golf course, which now I don't think I don't think every golf course, but specific golf courses is a place where someone can go, you know, and have their way with another human, that's a slave. And you know, the scene begins with Michael Jordan three with three white men, and he's the only black person. He's the only person that is an all-star sports celebrity. And the three people that are with him, one of them is very tall, which to me signifies, like, you know, some type of extraterrestrial being. And then the other one has the umbrella hat, umbrella corporation, experiments, these kinds of weird things. And then the third guy was the one taking the picture in the movie. He's Michael Jordan's manager, which AKA also his handler. And so his handler is the one taking the picture, right? Taking the picture of him pulling the golf ball out. So for anything, something like that could have just been the screen memory, but where, no, I wasn't at ECETI, but something, you know, that whole clip of him taking the picture is also indication of blackmail evidence, like, oh, you know, while you were all drunk and drugged up, we got this evidence of you doing this and that to, you know, children, when we took you to the golf course, you know, basically forcing you, like, because the way I pick up and intuit is that during that time and during that movie was a very pivotal change in Michael Jordan's entire career, where he started to back away from the scene of things, and started to work behind the scenes and let his whole shoe industry kind of do the thing, because it was no longer him. It was his energy being used to manipulate people that are plugged into him. So basically, you know, they got him. And in the movie, he's being taken down the rabbit hole into Warner Bros. Which also in the new Space Jam movie, it's talking about all of Warner Bros., which is a big corporation. So, and I don't know this, I don't factually know this, but what I suspect is Warner Bros., Fox, Paramount, all these major Hollywood movie companies are all CIA. They're all CIA, and they're all
Lionsgate too.
Yeah.
They're like portals. See, this is real quick. I don't want to interrupt, but look, if we have to keep going, that's fine. Netflix. Anytime the freaking Netflix starts, what is it? Dun,
Yeah.
The lines. It's opening. It's taking you to a Stargate, and at the end, it closes. Dun, So
Mhm.
every time, if I'm looking, I get goosebumps, man. I return to sender with conscience attached. Every time I look at the Netflix, I say I reject going into their portal. I am here for learning purposes,
Mhm.
for discernment and things like that. You guys have to be really careful. But yeah, Warner Brothers too. It sounds like White Brothers to me. I don't know about you guys.
I don't know, but so he gets taken into Looney Tune world, Michael Jordan, and meets Bugs Bunny. So, when so all of a sudden he's in a traumatic experience. He just got taken into this other world and he's seeing cartoons. So he's in an altered state. Um, and the whole thing is like a screen memory, like seeing it as a cartoon. That's very that makes sense to do to a child, right? Is to have the horrendous experience that they've actually gone through being screened with like a weird dream with cartoons kind of a thing. So they immediately put him on a chair. They sit him down on a chair where then Daffy Duck comes, and then Daffy Duck is this crazy doctor who looks into his ear, and the only thing that is in his ear out of all the things these animators could have drawn in Michael Jordan's ear, they chose to draw a paperclip, you know? So, so then, Daffy Duck, who's acting like a crazy doctor, is inspecting him and gives him the pass, and I explain it all in the video.
Yeah, it sounds
Um,
like Daffy Duck is like the crazy German doctors and doing all that twinning and stuff. You know what I mean? The crazy.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so then that's when Bugs Bunny sits on Michael Jordan's lap, and starts telling him the whole story. These aliens from outer space came, they want to enslave us, and telling him all this story, right? And then you can see they even show Michael Jordan's eyes looking at Bugs Bunny. He's in an altered state and he's hearing this story. So this is
That's panda eyes. And I'm not gonna get into that. You guys research that shit on the whatever.
oh no, I know about panda eyes. But this is how, and I don't factually, know this anywhere, but this is just how I observe and intuit one of the ways that they recruit children um, to join the secret space program. Because as a child, I remember when I was a child and I watched that movie in the theaters, I was like saying to myself, hell yeah, that sounds awesome. Like, help Looney Tune world, fight the aliens, save them from slavery. That's all. You get what I mean? So, which is just mind blowing, how in your face that 3 minutes of movie is. The whole movie is telling, but just that 3 minutes is like, whoa. And then at the end of the clip that I share, you could even hear the two guys walking back to the golf cart, and they're having a conversation about, well, if Michael Jordan doesn't come back, we need to find somebody else to take his place as an all-star athlete.
That's
Maybe.
why I tell you, I think they're planning his death.
Mm-hmm.
And quote unquote, and supposedly on September 2023, but it could be another date. You know what I mean? What's his number? Is it 23? What's his number?
Yeah, it's 23.
Told you, Masonic. Yep. He signed up for a contract till 2023, and that is his number. I could be wrong, but we'll see.
Wow. Yeah. Craziness.
I know. Well, you guys want to ask anything else before we go? Because we can always do another show, Mario and guys and gals, if you'd like.
Well, earlier I mentioned the Demarius Thomas issue with what happened to him, and he was 33 when he passed. This was last night, and he was playing for the Broncos when they were in the Super Bowl era, the Headless Horseman, when they needed to win the Super Bowl. They're like using team names to signify like something evil. They just love doing that stuff. And I thought it was, they said there was no, they said his mother had seizures when she was a child, and he started having seizures recently as well. And then they found him in the bathroom, just gone, and that was it. I personally believe it's more than just medical issues with that for sure, especially after everyone else that had those issues.
He died last night, you said?
10th, yeah, the 9th.
Wow.
Yesterday, I don't remember the time, I think 10 o'clock or something, like late, kind of late, but not that late. And he was found in his bathroom. Police found him, not even his own family, which is, you know, it's always people are calling or knocking and no one's answering, and the police are always the first ones to find them, right?
Mhm.
So it's always suspicious when that's the case, when it's not, you know, the guy's rich, someone's gonna be next to him all the time, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so he died 12/9/2021. That's number 17. 17, if you look at that movie 17 again, that's reincarnation. They killed him off.
Oh,
That was the end of his contract. And then Larry Bird too. Somebody mentioned Larry Bird. I remember you sending me that, Jesse, about him. I was like, what the hell?
yeah, Larry Bird was the tall guy. I think they were representing in the first Space Jam as the big alien or the tall guy.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, Larry Bird, that's his name.
Any Susan, do you have any questions? Anything else, Jesse? You want to ask?
No, that was it. I was here really just to listen. I didn't know it was
Well, you know, I was just, you know, I was just like, well, might as well invite just in case, you know, that way we both jog our memories too. And but yeah, why don't we just go around saying, you know, where they can find you, Mario, and then Susan, and then Jesse, and just a little bit about what you see happening next year in your lives.
All right. Well, you can find me on Instagram, starseed.salsa. My email is starseedsalsa@gmail.com. And my website is starseedsalsa.com. Or you can find me on Facebook, Shambhala Mario. And next year, I'm just gonna keep on making salsa. And you know, making more videos, just doing this work that we're doing, you know, but easier and better
Yes.
with less effort.
Harder, not harder, they say.
Harder, not harder. Yeah.
Thank you, Mario, for being on. And Susan?
I have an Etsy shop too. I'm Divine Connections on Facebook, and then I have Dragon and Phoenix pages on Facebook and also on Instagram. And I have a Divine Boutique Instagram page.
Susan, what are you looking forward to doing next year?
Next year, more plant medicine. Actually, I'd be interested if Shambhala or Mario wants to do some plant medicine things. I would like to come and attend. I would do some plant medicine ceremonies. That sounds really interesting. I can definitely commit to 20 minutes. I was just worried about 4 to 6 hours.
I wanted to do the ashwagandha with the shaman, because I mean, I'm a shaman too, but it's like they say you need a shaman when you do that. So, okay.
well, I'm just on Facebook. I don't have a website currently or anymore. But I definitely am looking forward to having funds to afford everyone's salves and salsas and whatever else people are making. I definitely need some kind of help when it comes to that, especially in that department. So hopefully in my future, I'm able to support you guys as much as I want to with my heart right now, but I can't because my wallet sucks.
Many blessings pouring down on us coming into next year.
As above, so below. And that is what's going to happen. It's happening right now. Repeat after me, okay? I am so happy and grateful now
I am so happy.
Happy and grateful now
No.
that money and prosperity comes to me
that money and prosperity comes to
Prosperity
me
comes to me
in increasing forms
in increasing
increasing
form
forms
through multiple sources,
from
Through
from
multiple
multiple sources
consistently
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 in this now moment.
in
in
this now moment.
moment.
It is now done. Abracadabra, bitches. And we
It
out.
is now
This is
done.
now done. Abracadabra.
I love you guys. We'll see you later. You guys know where to find me. Just Google me. Bye. Love you.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.